Russia hoax was a lie. It's a lie like the Mueller report. These are lies being told. If they were being told by a foreign government, by the way, they would be disinformation and we'd have prosecution. The simple fact is this. The American people need to know the election is still in doubt. President Trump won the election on election day, but now it's trying to be stolen from us. And that's what the American people have to do, is fight through the media, fight through the big tech, and stick together with each other. And our effort, which is, you can go to stopthesteal.us, is just a clearinghouse for more people that will get together and fight for the truth. And by the way, study your Constitution, because when we have these problems and when we have significant corruption in office, in the powerful people that are in charge, we have remedies. The remedies are in our Constitution that holds us together. Other countries will fall when an election is this corrupt. Our country won't, because our Constitution is the fallback that protects us. But it starts with the men and women in these buildings, the Republicans, congressmen, congresswomen, U.S. senators, to understand what's at stake. Other questions?
Are you hoping this is going to make it to the Supreme Court?
No, I have no preference on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court should decide again on our Constitution. I don't have a preference. I think that I think right now what I would prefer is that the people of the states continue to rise up and demand that their elected officials do their jobs. So if you do your job in Pennsylvania and you're a leader there, this will stop and this will be done right. So if the Supreme Court has to adjudicate how a decision about the Constitution or something else is, we welcome that. We always have. Again, we've never been afraid in this country of the rule of law. It's been set up that way specifically. What we are afraid of is corruption that tries to take away our rights. Other questions or comments?
What kinds of voter fraud are we seeing, and where are we seeing?
Well, I might have said at the beginning, my name is Ed Martin. I run the Phyllis Schlafly organizations. We're based in St. Louis, and my office is, I have an office in D.C. also, and we're all across the country, Eagles. But before that, I'm an attorney, and before that, I practiced law, and I was the chairman of the Board of Elections in St. Louis City. So I know exactly what this is. I know exactly how fraud happens. There's all kinds of layers of fraud. There's fraud in registration. We're seeing rampant registration problems because, again, they're trying to utilize the mail-in ballots. We're seeing a problem of signatures and verifications. We're seeing dead people voting. Once you have a system that's corrupt, there are many ways you can game the system. You know, when you run an election board, if you ask someone honestly who runs an election board well, they say you have to pick a system, as Jim Ryan just said, pick a system and say how it's going to work and let everybody work through it. The verification process, one of the things that we've always demanded in this country was that both parties, we only have two, but parties that are opposing have an interest in transparency. And what we're seeing is wholesale things happening behind closed doors. One of the reasons that most of the European Union nations ban mail-in ballots is because they know that too much happens in secret that can't be verified. In other words, you have things happening off-site and mailed in or dropped off. So the examples of voter fraud are so endemic now that they bring into question the election, especially in these states, as corrupt. And when it's corrupt, it has to be acted on by our nation and by our leaders. And that's what I think we're all demanding. And again, these leaders can do it here. Other questions or comments? She's going to get to her whiteboard. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so what do you have to say to all of the liberal snowflakes out there that just can't handle the thought of another 4 years of President Trump?
Well, look, I don't have you'll smile when you say I'm a happy warrior. The reason I care about politics and I love America is that it's the best place for every person to have a great life, whether they're liberal. Nancy Pelosi is made in the image and likeness of God. I can't believe it, but it's true. But so there you are. And so, but what I will say is, when I walk down the street here and someone makes a snide remark about Trump, I've never done that about Biden. That's not my thing, right? So, but here's what the liberal snowflakes in this country should understand. Is the freedom they enjoy to act like this. I mean, that's America. In other places, you've already been taken away and put, and what we will see if the Harris-Biden administration is able to steal the election is you will see that they will use their power. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about the rule of law. They care only about power. And the Susan Rices of the world, who have been exposed as at least bad actors, if not illegal actors, will be in power again to continue to get away with it. So to the liberal snowflakes that can't believe that so many Americans voted for and believe in Donald Trump's policies, what I say to them is, enjoy America. It's what you're enjoying. You may not recognize it, but understand there is a lot more to lose for all of us, not just conservatives, if this corrupt election goes forward. and changes the decision of the people. Other questions?
Pennsylvania Senator Pat Toomey said that there is no substantial evidence or fraud that President Trump is claiming. What would you say?
Well, I'd be generous to Senator Toomey and say he must not be looking at the same things that most Americans are looking at. I don't know, maybe he is. But if he is, he's already said he's retiring. He doesn't have an election to face. He has probably other interests. I would say if he can't stand up for the people, he should resign. I think it's a better thing to do. Let someone else get in that position. I would rather have someone who doesn't love the Constitution, doesn't believe in the rule of law, be in office than have someone who says he does and isn't going to do it. Pennsylvania is wholesale, showing how fraud can be set up as a system. And again, remember, what I'm saying here is we're very blessed that our Constitution sets up a way that we can fight through this corruption. Because if the corruption's let to stand, our system is decimated. The people in this country will not vote in Montana if they think the election's stolen in Pennsylvania. They won't vote in Idaho if they think the people in Michigan are stealing it. If Detroit gets to rule the country because of their fraud and corruption, then the country's dramatically changed, and it won't survive in the way that we love it. Other questions or comments?
The Trump administration talked very early on about mail-in ballots and the potential for fraud. Should the GOP congresspeople have done more?
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to talk about failings, the Congress, when it was controlled by the Republicans and senators, many of us at No Voter Fraud said there should have been a national photo ID requirement. That changes things. Paul Ryan didn't want to do that. Mitch McConnell couldn't get that done. I mean, there's ways to look backwards. The president has been ringing the bells of crisis for months now on the mail-in ballots. We know that. We all know that. Again, Europe knows it. America knows it. Australia knows it. Mail-in ballots are a recipe for fraud. And when you put mail-in ballots together with actors who won't respect the rule of law, like in Pennsylvania, Attorney General Shapiro said what he was going to do. He didn't care what the truth was. He said what he was going to do. So you put those two together and you have a real problem. So I always would like to see conservatives do more. Many conservatives believe we have such good arguments, we'll always win. And what the Democrats and the left have shown is they don't care about arguments. Joe Biden didn't make an argument. He just stayed in his basement, and they're using pure power politics and corruption to try to take it over. One more question?
Yeah, what should voters do in these states where there's
Well,
potential?
all voters should first of all be aware of what's happening and be energized about the problem. This is a corruption that is at the heart of America, and so they should be energized and focused and get motivated to do something. Secondly, I'd encourage you. I'm here encouraging people. One thing I know is that elected officials who hear from the voters and they're told, stand up for me, it has an impact. And so if you're in a state where it's at risk, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, calling your legislator matters. If you're not in a state, it still matters. So, but people need to get ready. This is not a time to get ready for Thanksgiving. I mean, the Thanksgiving is a long way off. I hope we can give thanks for a lot of things. Right now, the people need to be motivated. If you're a Trump supporter, your vote is being stolen from you. The corruption is taking away from you what you dream of and what you want to be. And so they need to be motivated and be offended by what's happened and then be committed. Again, America, we have a way to solve this. Constitution and the rule of law, and we need to go about it. We don't need a decision desk at Fox News telling America who their success is. We don't need Jack Dorsey and his team to tell us who succeeds and fails. That's not America. That's never been America, and that's why we have to fight through this. All right, everybody.